So when you're talking to a woman, maybe at a party, at a bar, at work, or maybe on a date, and the conversation seems to be going good, how do you know though? How do you know if she's really into you, or if she's just being friendly, or she does a good job of faking it? Most of the advice that you hear, the signs to look out for, most of them are actually pretty worthless in telling you whether or not the woman is into you. So in this video, I want to give you 5 attraction tests that you can use that'll give you a much clearer picture of where you stand with the woman. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and one of the things that guys ask me all the time is, they'll tell me a story about this, maybe a secretary at their work, or they'll say that they were out, Friday night at this nightclub and they were talking to this woman and they really couldn't tell. They're like, and they was like, what do I do? How do I tell? How do I know if I should ask for her number or make a move, or, what do I do? What do I look for? And a lot of the advice out there that you'll come across is things like, well, does she make eye contact or does she play with her hair? And the reason that advice I said is worthless is because a lot of women are different, right? And a woman who's sort of naturally flirtatious, she's gonna be giving you the signals of playing with her hair and kind of being giggly because that's her personality, but it does not mean she's into you. She's probably gonna be that way to every other guy she's talking to that night. On the other hand, a girl who's quiet or shy or introverted, even if she's enjoying things with you, she may sort of have a shell up, right? She may have her guard up, and she may not be overly, playing with her hair, or grabbing your leg or anything like that, because it's not her personality. That's why it's important, and that's why I always, when I'm working with somebody, I say you've got to be able to do things that you can test, right? You can test whether or not she's into you. And I'm going to give you 5 of them in this video. So the first thing that I always tell guys to do, and I was telling this recently to a client who, he worked in a social environment, right? He had a job where it was very social, right? And he had a lot of women there that he was into. And one of them he would spend a lot of time talking to at work. But he didn't know. He was like, how do I know though? She talks to me and she seems like we have good conversation, but I don't really know if that's it, right? I go, well, it's sort of like, especially in a work environment, because you don't want to, it's embarrassing if not everybody wants to get rejected by a coworker and then have to see them every day, right? It can be embarrassing. So what I told them was, well, take steps, right? Test step by step, right? And one of the first things I told them to do is move her, right? Move her somewhere else with you and see if she follows. And this is especially true when you're meeting somebody, like say at a party or a bar or something like that. If she's willing to move somewhere else with you at that place, there's a good chance she's into you. If she's not, if she's like, no, I'm going to stay here, then chances are it's not what you think it is, right? So you could say something like, I told him, like, tell her, hey, let's go take a seat, right? Will she go and take a seat with you? Or let's go outside and get some air, right? Will the girl follow you outside to get some air? Maybe you're at a bar and you say, I'm going to go grab a drink. I want some company. Will she follow you up to the bar and stand there with you? Or will she say, no, I'm going to stay with my friends, or I'm going to go whatever, right? I'm going to go walk around. Well, if she does that, she pretty much just told you that hanging out with you is not a priority, right? Maybe you're on a date with a girl and, the date's coming to an end. You're like, oh, man, I don't know if this is going well or not. What do you do in that situation? A lot of times you can say something like, yo, I'm craving a Jamba Juice. Why don't we take a walk next door and get one? Now, if she's enjoying the date too and she wants to continue spending time with you, she'll go. If she's like waiting for the date to end, she'll probably use that as an excuse to say, well, you know what, I really got to get going. But call me or text me or whatever, and you'll never hear from her again. You could say something like, I'm craving ice cream, or hey, why don't we go grab ice cream, right? Maybe you met her for coffee or something. Let's go grab some ice cream. Will she go with you, right? Maybe you're, again, at a party and I want to go find my friends. Come take a walk with me. Will she go with you? These are really easy ways to gauge whether or not she's attracted to you, right? So that's one method, right? really, really easy to try out, but also pretty effective. Like I said, if she's not willing to move somewhere with you, then chances are she doesn't feel comfortable with you, right? It doesn't necessarily in every case mean she's not into you. If you're just meeting her at a bar and her friends are over there, she may at that, if it's early in the conversation, but if you've been talking a while and then she's not willing to move with you, it means she was just kind of talking to you to kill time or because she didn't know how to politely end the conversation. So the next one is another active thing that you can do. And this one is really, really, really fun and effective. And that is qualify her. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're talking to her and it's going well and you say something like, tell me what's the coolest thing about you, What is the coolest thing about you that nobody knows? A comment like that, you're qualifying her. Now, she can handle it one of two ways. If she's into you, she's going to try to come up with a good answer. She's going to try to tell you, well, I'm this or I'm that, and she's going to want to try to sell herself to you. If she's not into you, she's probably going to give you like a one-word answer, like, oh, I don't know, I'm fun, and not really do a good job of it, right? So look for her answer, the enthusiasm in her answer. Really, really important. You can also pay attention to whether or not she's disqualifying herself, right? Because a lot of times, if a woman isn't into you, she's just being friendly with you, she'll say things that disqualify herself. She'll say things like, I'm so fat, or like, I look horrible, I've gained a lot of weight, or she'll say something like, I'm crazy, I'm a head case, right? She's not going to say those type of things to a guy that she's trying to position herself as, a potential girlfriend. She's going to say those things to a guy she wants to kind of disqualify herself, right? So when you say things that give her a chance to qualify herself, right? Like I said, like ask her what's cool about you, what's different about you. Pay attention to how much effort she puts into trying to impress you. Very, very important. Rob Judge, my friend, he's in a lot of videos. He has a question that he'll always ask. And this is a question he'll ask like later on when, he's like thinking, well, should I invite her back or, get intimate? He'll say, how good of a cuddler are you? And he says, if the girl starts saying, I'm an amazing cuddler, I'm the best cuddler in the world, he pretty much knows she's telling him like, we're gonna, hang out later. But on the other hand, if she's like, oh, I don't cuddle, or she goes, not very good, then she's pretty much telling him, yeah, I'm not interested in having this conversation. We're never going to be cuddling together anyway, right? So, simple question, but it's kind of an innocent question, like how good of a cuddler are you? It's a lot easier to gauge her interest than, going for a kiss, right? Or saying, hey, you want to come home with me? Asking that question is a nice bridge to know sort of where you stand. So the next technique or the next test is something that my friend Christian Hudson calls flirting with the future. Now, I thought he came up with the name. It's something that I'd always done, but I thought it was a great name. A great way to explain it is, how does she react when you flirt with the future? And what I mean by that is, say you're talking to a woman and, she tells you she's into rock climbing, right? And you make a comment like, you're talking, whether, like I said, whether it's a date, whether it's a girl you're meeting at a party, and she's like, oh, I love rock climbing. You go, oh my God, I've always wanted to rock climb. You're gonna give me a lesson one day, right? That's flirting with the future. You're gonna give me a lesson one day is flirting with the future. How does she react? Does she go, oh, definitely, it's gonna be so much fun? Or is she like kind of like, oh yeah, and brushes it off, right? Almost like she didn't hear it. Now, a key principle in this is you don't want to overdo this, right? You don't want to start saying, you're going to give me a lesson and then I'm going to come, you don't want to keep talking about it. You throw the comment out there and then you go back to whatever else you were talking about. You don't try to lock it down, right? You're not trying to say, next Tuesday, I'm going to meet you and you're going to do it. You're just going to say the comment to see how she reacts. A guy named Captain Jack, a guy that John Sin, one of my friends, learned a lot from, he called it time bridging, right? Where he would time bridge because it serves a couple purposes. One is that, yes, how she reacts to that comment kind of lets her, you know where she stands, right? Does she jump on it and go, yeah, I'm going to give you a rock climbing lesson, or does she kind of ignore it? The other benefit of it is that it creates a bridge in her mind to a future with you, right? So it's kind of a double goodness, right? It accomplishes two things with one simple line, like, you're going to totally give me a lesson one time. Now, not only is she picturing a future with you, how she reacts to that future tells you if you're on the right track or not. So the next one is sort of specific. It's something that I noticed. It's something that I noticed, and this one is probably, out of the 5 of them, it's probably one that is not the easiest to try, but it's one that I found really, really effective, right? And this is like if you're at a party or you're at, a bar or whatever, and you're drinking something, right? You have a mixed drink. The reason I came up with this was because a girl did it to me, and I realized that I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty good what she did. She came up to me once and she's like, she was drinking something. She goes, she's like, this drink is so good. And she handed it to me and she goes, try it. And she was, I had known her, right? And I was attracted to her, and I go, oh, okay. And I tried it and I gave it back to her. And I realized, like, it was kind of an intimate thing to drink, I sipped from her straw, right? Like the same straw. And I was like, wow, like she was telling me like something, right? And she gave it to me, I did it, so I'm kind of telling her that I'm comfortable with it. It was this weird little thing, and I started testing it out, right? Because back in the day, back when I was going out, and I used to like test things out, and one of the things I tested out was, well, if I was talking to somebody, a girl, and I was drinking, if I was drinking a beer, it's not always like, hey, drink my beer. But if I was drinking something a little different, right, I would go, does this taste really strong to you? Like if I was drinking a Manhattan or something, right? Does this taste really strong? And I would see, right? Does she take a sip of my drink? If she does, it means that she feels pretty comfortable with me, right? Because you're not gonna sip some guy's drink or some girl's drink where you're like, oh, like, right? You're not. So if she's willing to, it could work with food, right? Food is a little touchier because she might not like the food, and you try to give her a piece of sushi or something, and she's like, what? I don't eat sushi. But with a drink, if you're drinking, let's say, whatever it is, right, an appletini, right? I hope you're not drinking an appletini, but if you are, hey, this is so good, taste it. Does she taste it, right? It's a simple test. The last one is one of my favorites, and I call it the high five test. And this one is really good in determining if you're at the point in a conversation where a woman is ready to kiss you. How does it work, right? Maybe she's telling you something and you guys are talking and you guys have been, and keep in mind, everything here, right? All of these, you're not gonna do. These are specifically for during a conversation, because I always get comments from like women going, if a guy walked up to me and did that, I would be like, I'm like, no, but I'm not telling him to walk up to you and do that. I'm saying in the context of a 10, 15 minute conversation, you can do these. You're not gonna walk up to her and say, what's the most fun thing about you, right? You're not gonna walk up to her and say, come take a walk with me. You're gonna do these after the conversation's going well. I just wanna clarify that, because I always get a woman going, if a guy walked up to me and said that, I would slap him. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not telling him to say that like a minute into talking to you. So what I wanted to clarify though is that, this one here is really good at determining, like I said, if she's ready to kiss you. So let's say you're talking to a girl and the conversation's been going well, and you've been flirting, whatever, and then she's like, and she tells you how she just got a promotion at work, right? She's like, and then it was like the best day Friday, I got a promotion. You go, high five, right? High five. Friendly thing to do, right? Nothing weird about it. High five. But when you high five her, just let your hand linger there for a little bit longer than normal, right? And what does she do? Does she go high five and pull her hand right away? Does she does she grip her fingers around yours? It's very telling, because if a woman's into you, she'll let her hand stay there as long as you let your hand stay there. If she immediately kind of high fives you and pulls her hand away, it's her way of telling you, yeah, like I don't want any kind of physical contact with you. But you're not really doing anything, like, you're just giving her a high five. So it's a very innocent way to determine where you stand with a woman. So these are great, but one of the questions, guys, there's always a flood of, I get on forums and in our members area, and even in my coaching lessons, I get questions from guys, well, what about if I'm texting with a girl? How do I know if I should keep texting her? How do I know if it's going anywhere? And they'll say, or maybe you went on a couple dates with her and you're not really sure, does she like you, does she not like you? Or maybe it's a completely different situation where maybe there's there's the secretary at your work and you really haven't even talked to her. You just kind of see her and you're trying to determine, does she want me to go talk to her? Does the woman standing over there at the party, is she waiting for me? Is she making eye contact? Is she giving me, signs that she wants me to walk over there? How do you know all of that? So what Rob Judge and I did was we put together a guide called 88 Ways to Read a Woman's Mind, know exactly what she's thinking so you can predict her every move. And what we did is we found, similar to these sort of attraction tests that I gave you here, we found that in every situation, right? Like if you're texting with a woman or you've been kind of dating her a little bit, there's things that you can do, there's things you can look out for that give you a pretty accurate idea of where you stand with her. And the great thing is a lot of times, it's funny is some of these, when I started realizing this, I started kind of messing around a little bit with like girls that I was friends with. And I was like, let me just see like what kind of reaction I get. And I would go, and you'd find like a girl that I probably never even thought was kind of into me more than friends was doing all of these. And I realized, shit, I was missing out on this. And the more you use these and the other 83 of them in the book, you can download it below. A whole new world of opportunity really, really begins to open up for you. So if you like this video, click subscribe, leave a comment below, and if you want to learn more tricks like this for determining where you stand with a woman, download a copy of 88 Ways to Read a Woman's Mind.